coming together to show solidarity, to show that the coming together of the alliance territories is real. Okay, it is real and it is important. Coming together. Excuse me. Sorry, we're live streaming now, so I needed to get that shut down. Okay, so we are live streaming now, so you guys are all going to be on television. I'm just kidding. But this Million Man Freedom March is incredibly important, as I was saying, because it is the first time that we're going to have everyone coming together to speak in one voice and to make our case before the United Nations and all the world leaders that are attending that event. Okay, and I know there's been a lot of attacks or a lot of ways has been tried to break this alliance from the middle belt to the south, but it is holding and it is holding strong. And beyond that, it is growing and is becoming stronger and stronger and stronger. Okay, so welcome to NINAS, which is the Nigerian Indigenous Nationalities Alliance for Self-Determination. And again, this is the alliance from the middle belt to the south that encompasses the ethnic nationalities of the middle belt, the southeast and south-south under the lower Niger, and the Yoruba that is under Ilana Omo Odua. Okay, you are welcome. Everything that we are doing here is about getting the message out. It's vitally important that we get the message out, because when our people don't understand what's going on, they don't know what actions to take. If they don't understand who their enemy is or who is putting them in the situation that they find themselves, they are not going to be able to determine what to do. So there's a lot that we're going to be talking about today. So we'll let a lot more people come on board and then we'll get started. But I did want to start by inviting everyone. If you haven't heard yet, again, we are going to the UN and we are going to be in the park across from the UN offices from September 14th to the 24th of September. And the schedule is going to be as follows. On the 14th and the 15th, we're actually going to leave the park. And unfortunately, just because of the times that we're in, we can't have everyone go with us, but we'll take a fair amount of people and we might actually go ahead and do it in stages. But we're actually going to take a walk, a march past the UN offices. We have been working with the New York Police Department to make sure that, you know, we have a route that we can follow. So that's the 14th and the 15th. And so we're encouraging everyone to be there on those days because those are pivotal days. And then on the 16th and 17th, we're going to have activities in the park itself. And so we're going to have speakers, we're going to have information about, you know, telling the world about the victims, because it's very important for the world to understand the enormity of what we're talking about. 4 million people displaced from their land. 4 million, do you know what that number is? There are countries that don't even have 4 million people. But 4 million people have been displaced from their lands. Over 400,000. And the UN last report, I think a couple of months ago, said 350,000 in the Northeast alone. Those numbers are staggering, right? And then you have over 300,000 refugees that have fled from Nigeria because of what's going on. These are significant numbers, and the world needs to hear the names of those victims. And they need to see what they are being subjected to, right? So the 16th to 17th of September, we will be in the park. We'll be, you know, talking to people and sharing this information. The 18th, we are going to be in Times Square. For those of you who know New York, Times Square is extremely busy. So we're going to be there in Times Square. We've been handing out information, talking to people, because when you're in a freedom struggle, you need friends. It's not just something about, let's get our Nigerians together. We need the world to understand what's going on, and we need them to support us strongly, right? So that they can lift their voices too and say, stop the genocide, stop the madness, restore their sovereignty so they can protect their people. Okay, so 18th for Times Square. And then on the 19th, we're going to be in Columbus Circle, again, doing the same thing, making friends, creating advocates that would be advocating for us. Now, the 20th, the 21st, the 22nd, the 23rd, and the 24th, we are back in the park sharing the information. Now, the 24th, we're going to have another march that goes past the UN offices, okay? So there's a lot of opportunity for people to come and be a part. And even if you can't come, you can support the movement in lots of ways. We talked about this last time. There's so many ways to support this movement to see that we gain our freedom. Okay, I'm not going to start with the, contributing your money. We all know that that's one, but your time is important. Have you reached out to the media where you are, whether you're in Timbuktu or whether you're in London? Have you contacted the media there to present them with the information, to tell them what's going on and tell them that they need to be showing those images? What about your lawmakers in the UK, Germany, South Korea, Tanzania, Ghana, South Africa? Are you going there to tell them about it? In the US, we've got congressional leaders, senators, governors, mayors. We have a huge presence in some of the states, a huge presence in Texas, in Atlanta, in Georgia, in California. So if you can't go, there's a lot you can do. What about the churches where you are? In Armenia, right? Whether you are in, Tunisia, it doesn't really matter where you are. In Russia, have you contacted the churches to tell them to raise their voices? Are you contacting the Pope to say you've got to speak out more? There's a genocide against Christians going on in Nigeria in large numbers. And in addition, they're also facing people trying to pull them from their land. Have you done that? See, all of us have a part to play. It's not just about marching. They're tangible things that we should be doing. We should be flooding everywhere around this world, making friends. On social media, did you know that you can send a message directly to Joe Biden, Kamala Harris, Boris Johnson, to Trudeau, to the president in South Africa, in Japan? Do you know you can send a message to the UN? What about the EU, the OAU, the AU, right? The African Union, NATO. They all have a presence on Twitter and Facebook, and you can send them messages. So yes, not all of us are going to be able to show up there, but all of us have a responsibility to take the steps that we're talking about continually until we get our freedom. And I say this all the time. South Africa was fighting for their freedom for a very long time. And you know how gory and gruesome that was. As they were trying to protect themselves, as they were trying to see that they survive another day. But it wasn't until diplomacy kicked in that they actually got their freedom. They had to touch the hearts of the world so that the world would say it's enough. I don't know how many of you have seen the video of Joe Biden when he spoke out on South Africa. And he was asking people in the room, what are we talking about? What exactly are we talking about? These people are being slaughtered. Their assets have been taken. They're living in squalor, and we're still talking about this? We need to get to people to that extent where they say those same words and they reach out to others and say, you need to follow me so that this can get done. 4 million people living in squalor in IDP camps. Over 400,000 dead already. And if you watch the news, those numbers are going to rise very quickly because it's not just happening in one part, it's happening everywhere. 300,000 have fled as refugees. And that doesn't talk about the ones that have been raped and maimed, right? Those that have been kidnapped and tortured. Those that are being prevented from going to their farms. And you saw the message just a few days ago. Obasanjo's people were taken. It's getting closer and closer home to all of us. And it's time that we step up. Okay, enough of the gloomy gloominess. We are here today, and we have a powerful array of women that's going to be talking to you about what message should we be giving to the UN, okay? What message should we be giving to the UN, and what message should we be giving to the world leaders? So if you give me a moment, I will be introducing them. So they're going to talk to you a little bit about that. And then we are going to take questions and comments and suggestions from everyone here. And we ask that you keep your questions very precise. So if you're thinking about a question, please make it precise so that we can have enough, answer enough questions from people, okay? And then after that, we're going to just talk a little bit about the do's and don'ts for those who are going to New York, and then just reiterate a little bit as to what everyone should be doing, both now, during the event, and after the event. Okay, I think one of the participants mentioned a little bit ago that, you know, there's a lot of marches and peaceful protests going on in the UK, and that should be going on everywhere. Germany, right? Malaysia, Spain, right? Ghana, everywhere. That needs to be happening. So welcome again to NINAS. And I am going to start off by introducing those who are going to be speaking today. We're going to start with those that will be speaking to the messaging that we are going to be giving to the world leaders. And if you give me a moment, Dupe, I'm going to come to you first, but give me a moment so that I can make you guys, I can make you a co-host, so it's easy for you to navigate. But this is Madupe, and she's going to be talking to us about the messaging to the world leaders to stop all sales of arms to the Nigerian government. And that's a very important discussion there. Okay, Madupe, you can unmute, and you are welcome, and thank you so very much. And again, I'm going to continue to unmute the powerful women today, but you are welcome, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you so much, Jane, and thank you for inviting me to this forum. Can you all hear me well? Yes. Okay, so and I also welcome everybody here on the forum. I'm glad to be here, and definitely this is a historic event for us. And as Jane has mentioned earlier, that we really need to lift up our voices and let people hear us. So we're actually going to be appealing to the good people of the world, including those heads of states that are going to be attending the 76th UN Assembly in New York. We're appealing to them that that they should do everything in their capacity to prevent the sales of arms to Nigeria. for two reasons. The first reason is that we all know that with the activities of the terrorists and the killings and the maimings and the and the murders and kidnappings of our people in the southern and the middle belt of Nigeria, even in the southern part of Kaduna as well. The Nigerian government has really been very, very complacent, even looking the other way and going as far as condoning all of these activities. In fact, case in point, when people have been when the locals are fighting or maybe trying to resist this the armed bandits, and if they happen to overpower some of these people and arrest them, and they take them to the law enforcement, to the police stations, what happens is that the police precincts will leave the bandits and turn around and arrest the locals who are trying to protect their environment. So what happened is that there has been a lot of reports that the current administration under General Buhari has actually been very a lot of the people in his administration are sponsoring these terrorists and their activities. So with that being said, we also know that they have a middleman called this prominent cleric, Sheikh Gumi, who goes into the bandits' hideouts to go and negotiate on behalf of the Nigerian government, to negotiate with the terrorists. And some of these terrorists, even those of them that have been captured, are being rehabilitated, and they are being branded as repentant and reabsorbed into the Nigerian army. And what happens? They put the ammunitions right into their hands. So for this reason, we're appealing to the world leaders and the good people of the world to stop the sales of arms to Nigeria for this reason. Then secondly, reason number two that we want the sales of arms to be stopped is because the Nigerian government also have been going after people who are asking for self-determination, who are speaking up and saying all of these atrocities need to stop. And the Nigerian government have actually made it clear to us that they are not willing to protect us. So people who have been bold enough to come out, the Nigerian government under Buhari have basically gone after these people, like attacking them. Some of them have been kidnapped in foreign countries. Some of them have been, their homes invaded in the middle of the night. So and the Nigerian government is able to do all of this because they feel powerful. They think they have all of the arms and the ammunitions, to suppress people and to kill and to basically, maim people and do whatever they feel, is the right punishment. So for these two reasons, we want the sale of arms to be altered in all ramifications. So and I hope that the good people of the world, will definitely side with us, and stop and help us to stop this atrocities that is going on.
Right. Great, Modupe. I mean, one of the things that we have to remember, because I'm sure all of you have seen that, and if you haven't, NINAS had a press release, a statement that they sent out to all the world leaders, asking them to stop, right? To stop the sale of arms, because it is ending up in the hands of the terrorists. I know I have seen those videos. I know you have seen those videos of the sophisticated modern day technology that they're using in nighttime. They're releasing this information themselves, right? So we're now beyond the AK-47s that we're seeing. We're now talking about sophisticated weaponry that is being used, right? I remember one video that I saw where they had information where they had, like the night goggles where they could see like day at night, right? They have that. Okay, they don't have any issues with talking to each other because they have those technologies, right? So this is an important message that NINAS should be and will be delivering to the world leaders. Because being at the UN is not just about talking to the UN. The world leaders are going to be there. It's our opportunity to communicate that information, right? It's our opportunity to communicate that information. And as we were talking about earlier, there's a lot of numbers that support what we're talking about, right? I mean, what happened in Afghanistan is bad enough. And the refugees from there is bad enough. But can you imagine 50, 100 million people fleeing from a place? Where are they going to go in the world? Well, a lot of them are going to head to the US, so the US better be paying attention. The UK, Germany, Russia, right? It will be a catastrophe. Okay? It would be really a catastrophe for that to happen. And the other thing that that kind of stands out is also the fact that the people are unarmed. The Christians are unarmed that are undergoing this genocide. They're unarmed. And the government has not said, pick up your arms and defend yourself. Even though they have said that they can't defend the people, they haven't told the people to, rise up and defend themselves. Governor Autumn, you've seen him tell his people to, get your cutlasses, get whatever you can, right? To defend yourself. The defense minister said we should defend ourselves, but are we going to use our knives and forks and our spoons? In Southern Kaduna, they actually took away their machetes and anything that was big enough, right? So how do you defend yourself? So we have to make sure that the inflow of arms needs to be stopped, because the government is not defending the people. If they were, we would be encouraging it, right? Because then they're doing something for our people, but that's not happening. So it needs to be stopped. So thank you very much, Modupe. Now we're going to go on to the next a piece that we're going to be talking about here. And I see Ijoma is here. And then after that, we are going to be going to Aramide, who's going to be talking about intelligence sharing. That's going to be exciting. So, Ijoma, are you ready to talk to us about stopping any further loans to the Nigerian government? I see you are unmuted, but we can't hear you yet. If you want me to go on, wait, let me see if Aramide is here. Just give me a second, let me check that and see if she is here. Because we can certainly go on to, oh, sorry. Okay, it looks like she isn't here yet. And Ijoma Emeche, are you ready? Or should I go on to the next topic and come back to you? We can't hear you if you are speaking. You need to work on with your volume because we can't hear you yet. I can see you, you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. Okay, while I am letting her go ahead and figure out what's going on with her volume, I am going to talk about the next piece because I'm not sure, I don't see Aramide here either. When she comes in, we will bring her on board. Okay, so I'm going to be speaking about the piece that says that we need to be telling the world clearly, the world leaders clearly, that Nigeria is a fraud. I'm not sure how many of you saw that video from Pastor Adefarasin, where he was saying it quite firmly. He was like, I don't know what came over me, because, NINAS had talked to him a few years before and, all this information going on. And he was on the pulpit and the Holy Spirit said, speak. And he was very strong. And that video went viral. He said, it's a fraud, right? So let's see. If NINAS is communicating this information to the world leaders, What proof do we have? And how about we take a journey into that Constitution so that we can see how fraudulent it really is, right? So let's talk about that Constitution, right? The Constitution says in the preamble, we the people, that we decided to make this Constitution to collapse Nigeria, make it indissoluble, indivisible. Okay? Let me ask you, we the people put a constitution in place where in chapter 2, we created all these benefits to ourselves. But in chapter 1, we took away all those benefits. Because guess what? We can't enforce our benefits. In chapter 1, sections 6, subsection 6C, we cannot enforce our benefits. And yet we, the people, put this in place. That's kind of hard to understand because we know we have intellectual horsepower in our area. So how could we have done that? And then we went even further. You know what we said after that? We said, oh, by the way, you know, let's not prosecute any of the governors or prosecute any of the or the president if they don't do their work. Wait a minute. People are not doing what they're meant to do, and they are not prosecuted. That's not what people would do, right? That is not what people would do at all, okay? And then it goes even further. It says that we now decided that, hang on a second, I've got somebody that is speaking and is away from their, so give me a moment here. I can see the person. They are away, but they are speaking. Okay. Okay, so we decided that we wanted to have federal character, and it's in the Constitution. And then once again, do you know what we, the people, said according to Nigeria, unitary Nigeria? Then we decided, well, we don't have to enforce that either. How can that be possible? First, we want benefits, then we say we can't enforce it, and then we can't hold the people responsible that are supposed to give us this benefits. Then we say that we want federal character. Do you know what federal character means? It means that for all the institutions in Nigeria, there needs to be fair representation of everyone. That's what federal character means. So we say we want this, but then we, the people, turn around and say, oh, never mind. Don't enforce it in court, because in the courts have been told not to take any cases that come to enforce federal character. Now, you don't even have to go far beyond this couple of things, right? Because right there, what is the purpose of a country but to take care of its people? But the people are saying, oh, the managers should not take care of the people. I mean, we have brilliant minds. Our forefathers were brilliant minds. I would like you to show me any constitution in the world, any constitution in the world, where it says that the benefits to the people are optional and cannot be enforced. Where it says a big part of who we are, right? A big part of who we are is federal character. where we say we want that, and then we say that it's not enforceable in court. So it is clear when you look on the face of that, that the people could not, we the people couldn't possibly have made that constitution. And it is the basis that Nigeria is sitting on. But what about this one? Have you heard of any referendum that was done to take us from military to unitary Nigeria? Did you participate? And some of you are old enough to have participated, right? In 1999. Did you participate in a referendum? Your parents? Did you hear of the referendum? Did you see any plebiscites that happened? Well, 1999 Constitution is actually Military Decree 24, which is pretty much 1979 Constitution under the military that they brought in to the civilian. And it's onerous. So that's the basis of Nigeria, collapsing the nations, right? And so that is obviously a problem. And so that constitution, we know it to be a fraud from its own, from inside its own contents. And so that's a strong message that we need to deliver to the world leaders. That constitution, they need to support NINAS taking down that constitution, which they did December 16th, 2020, when they issued the constitutional force majeure, rejecting that constitution, that 1999 constitution, as the basis for unitary Nigeria, and declaring sovereignty grievances or sovereignty dispute. By that, they mean this constitution is fraudulent, and it has taken the sovereignty of the people. Okay, so that's a message that we need to send out strongly to the world leaders. Okay, so now I'm going to come back to, as you guys can see, it's all there in the Constitution. You don't even have to wander away from it. You know, we did have Nwodo, who was the Minister for Information at that time, saying, I never saw the Constitution. When Obasanjo was sworn in, we didn't have a constitution. We didn't see it, right? So the people that should have been handling it and going through the process didn't even know it existed. They didn't know where it was printed, right? So fraudulent constitution. So now I'm going to come back to Ijoma. Are you ready now? You need to check your volume because I still can't hear you.
I'm ready. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you now. So she's going to be talking to us about stopping any further loans to Nigeria, okay? And she's going to tell us why that's important and why that message needs to be delivered. You are welcome, my sister. You might want to have your volume be just a little louder so that we can hear you better.
Okay. Welcome, everybody, and it's good to be here on this forum. I'll be talking about stopping any further loans to Nigeria. As you and I know and are aware, Nigeria owes a lot of money. We are in debt over our heads. With China, not only with China, but also with other countries of the world, namely France, Japan, India, and Germany, just to name a few. But then what do we do with all this money? Yet, in Nigeria, in that space called Nigeria, we have over 100 million people in abject poverty. Not only poverty, but abject poverty. Many people do not even have anything to eat. There's no jobs created. So what are we actually doing with all these loans? So we are told that some of these loans are geared towards water supply. So do we have any water supply in that space called Nigeria? No, at least I know growing up in the 70s, in the early 70s, I know that our water system works. In every yard, there's a running water. But later on, things went south. So why are we borrowing all this money for water supply that is not there, only for some very few to eat the money for themselves? And in power supply, there's no electricity in Nigeria. It comes and it goes, being monitored or being rationed out. Yet Nigeria supplies power to other countries, to Ghana, to Niger. And those countries have steady power supply. But in Nigeria, where we have the real stuff, there's nothing going on. And then in railways, Buhari, some time ago, some few months ago, commissioned the Lagos Airways, railway. But it was an unfinished business. And then in communication and agricultural processing. So these are where the money or the loans are going, but actually there's nothing to show for it. So yet people are suffering. Yet there's no good means of communication anywhere in Nigeria. There's no good road, there's no electricity. And that is why NINAS in the past couple of months issued a statement to the world leaders to ask them to stop any loans to Nigeria, as the funds were not being used for the people, but against the people. Guess where these loans are being siphoned to? They are being siphoned to the Fulani headsmen and to the Boko Harams and to the ISWAPs. Why should that be? Because they have an agenda to conquer and to take over the lands of the indigenous nationalities in that space called Nigeria. Recently, we have seen the increase in the number of Fulani headsmen carrying sophisticated weapons, and not just the AK-47s that we have seen them with. And the boldness and ongoing way they are attacking defenseless Christians and other indigents. And we saw a couple of weeks ago, the attack on the Nigerian Defense Academy by those that were said to be a part of the terrorist organizations that were recently incorporated into the Nigerian armed forces. Tell me why a country that said that they are fighting terrorism would at the same time incorporate or bring these so-called repentant terrorists into their armed forces. It is only a joke. I know America cannot do it. Any civilized nation cannot ever do it because they are asking for trouble. And this is what exactly happened. There's no repentant terrorist because it is a system of way of life or a system of thinking. They are not repentant. Rather, they will go in and carry out whatever they want to carry out. And then a couple of weeks ago, we saw the downing of the fighter jet and seen tons of videos released by the terrorists themselves showing the vast array of modern day army equipment they have been equipped with to go against the defenseless civilians in the villages, in the towns. They can reach anywhere at any moment in time. They are out to kill. And who is funding all those? It is our government by the loans that they are taking from other nations for infrastructural development in Nigeria, which you and I, we don't see anywhere. Then stopping all loans would force the government to stop arming these terrorists and would greatly reduce the number of deaths that the civilian population has suffered over the years. And today, you and I, we know of over 4 million people that have been displaced in various parts of Nigeria, in the north central, in the northeastern Nigeria, and the northwest, and in the middle belt. Many people have been displaced from their lands, from their ancestral lands, by foreigners that you and I, we don't even know where they came from, being invited into our state by this present day government. No sane country does that unless that particular government has an agenda of ethnic cleansing, which you and I, we know that is ongoing in Nigeria. And we don't want this to be. We don't want to be another Rwanda. It started by hatred, by somebody engineering people to hate other group of people in that state. And one day it happened. Over 700,000 people were murdered in cold blood in Rwanda. We don't want that to happen in our state called Nigeria. You and I, we want a new Nigeria where there's fairness and equity and justice and righteousness. But we are not going to rest until we achieve it. And that is by referendum. And that is the message we want to send to the UN general meetings and the presidents of nations that will be coming this week to hold a meeting. So today we know of over 4 million people that have been displaced and forced into IDP camps living in squalid conditions. Nobody takes care of them. Yet this government and Sheikh Gumi and the sponsors, they go into the forest, they know where these men are. And guess what? They negotiate with them and they pay them. Yes, they provide housing for them, they provide food for them and shelter. Yes, those that have been displaced from their homelands, from their ancestral lands, are left uncatered for, living in squalid conditions. Nothing to take care of these people who have suffered a great loss in their lives. And so these people we are forced into the ID camps, living in squalid conditions with no help from the government, yet they are providing help to the Boko Harams and to the ISWAP and to the bandits and to the kidnappers who have failed up to date to use any of these funds that have been gotten from other nations to help the innocent Christians and the other indigenous of the land who have been viciously attacked by Fulani headsmen, Boko Harams, and the ISWAPs, and their land taken away from them. So I believe that this should be the strong message that NINAS, we as the people of NINAS, will be able to send to the UN general meeting that is taking place. Thank you for your time.
Thank you so very much, Janet, for that. Ijoma, for that really strong message. It's sad, the things that we see happening, and we're sad to see the spin that's on it. But if you cut off the source of funds coming in, because it's not going to the people, you heard her, right? I remember seeing this article that talked about, I think it was like 200 and some people in Benue recently that got displaced from their land. And they showed the camp where they were in. They just had mosquito netting with a stick. And that was where they were staying. Horrific, right? Horrific things happening. There are children in these places. Others are occupying their land. What is the federal government doing? They see where the people have been displaced from. Why are they not removing the people that are in their land and replacing them with the people that own the land? Why are they getting more money? 4 million people. And they're surviving on aid from goodwill, right? Different organizations helping them. The Nigerian government is not helping them. So what is the money for? And you heard the number. It's over 100 million living in abject poverty. Where's the money going? I'm not going to talk about the fact that, a senator gets over $600,000 a year on top of everything, right? But you've seen the articles. The cost of governance is what has driven Nigeria to be the poverty capital of the world, right? And that's not where we should be. So those loans need to stop. And so NINAS issued a caveat emptor, let the lender beware. Because the ethnic nationalities are not going to stand for that. They will not pay for stuff that's being used against themselves. Okay, now I still don't see a Ramide, but we are going to move forward to the message to the UN. And Akuche, who, by the way, her latest single, Akuche's latest single, has had over 100,000 downloads. She's a Christian woman. Over 100,000 downloads on Spotify. Can't even say the word. So Akuche, where are you? If you can unmute, that would be awesome. And she's going to be talking to us about the fact that we are sending a message to the UN that they need to work with NINAS to get that referendum process started. Let's get it started already. Welcome, Akuche.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. I'm very happy to be here. Hello, everyone. And thank you for being on this very, very important meeting. Now, everything that we have been doing as NINAS up until this point is getting towards our referendum. Whether it's the Million March that's coming up, or the conferences that we've had, everything at the end of the day, where we're going, our destination is referendum. We want to be able to get to the point where we undergo a UN supervised referendum where we get to vote in our blocks and decide what we want to do. Are we staying in, as part of this union, under what terms, or are we going our separate ways? Because prior to the coup of '66, we all know that Nigeria was not unitary. It wasn't a unitary Nigeria. It was divided into regions, and the regions were autonomous, and they contributed to a small center, right? And they all had their own constitutions, and things were working, right? So we want to get back to that point where we would decide what we're doing. Do we want to remain? Do we want to, go back to that, what we had before the '66 coup, where, what I just described now, where there were different regions, the Eastern, Northern, I think there was Midwestern, Southern regions. Do we want to go back there, or do we want to divide? Do we want to leave and become our own federation, which I know today, if we went to a referendum today, I'm sure that 99% will say we are moving to our new nation because we have had enough. And we can't fault anyone for that. You heard what the other speaker just talked about, Ijoma, even before then, what Jean was talking about. You hear the numbers, you hear the atrocities that are going on. How much more can people take? You say, you go back to the same constitution that has enforced our enslavement, and you say that the people consented to that. Makes no sense in the world. People do not consent to their own enslavement. Even if they tied their eyes, they do not consent to their own enslavement. And then you say that, okay, the benefits are here, but then you cannot go to the courts and enforce the benefits. And the people signed to that. And they said, no, we will continue. This is what we want. And you hear about children not being, being killed, maimed, people not even getting, they can't even food is a luxury because they're literally running for their lives. It got to a point where I could no longer watch those videos. It was getting too much. I had to protect my mental health. I said, no, I can't. Because I'm an empath, like a lot of us are. You feel these things. Even if you're not a mom or you're not a dad, you are a human being. We are humans. And that's what connects us as human beings. The ability to feel another person's pain, put yourself in their place, right? So the reason we're talking about this is we are very close, we're getting close, and we don't want to get to the point where we are at a referendum because we're voting in our blocks. It's a UN supervised referendum because if you give it to this government, you know what's going to happen. They are going to hijack it the way they hijacked our sovereignty. So we cannot let that happen. So we all need to know where we're going, because if we're running a race and you don't have an end point, then the race is pointless, right? So we are going towards our, the destination is referendum. That's where we're headed. And we all need to know what that is and know, be ready. mentally, physically, we're spreading the word. We're letting people know that this is what NINAS is doing. NINAS is the only, is the only body that has given us a clear vision of where we're going. They brought the constitutional force majeure of December 16, 2020. Nobody has done that. Nobody has an in into Washington UN except NINAS. So that's already been established, that this is the only platform, this is the only organization that's taking us to our destination. So we all need to join on the bandwagon and spread this message of hope. Is so important, because if you're trying to get people to come on board and they don't know where the destination is, they're going to say, what are you doing? But if they know that we're going to a referendum, then they are more, likely to come on board because they understand the vision clearly. So this is what this, my point here is, let us be ready mentally, physically, and know that this is where we're going towards our referendum, so that when the time comes, we're not like, oh, what is referendum? What are we doing? What is this? There's no mistake about what it is. It is clear. The vision is clear, the mission, everything is clear, and we understand, and we are moving. Because the way we are right now, we have to keep moving like a train that cannot stop. Because the moment we stop, it'll be better that we never even started. Thank you. Oh, I can't hear you, Jean. I think you're muted.
I know, I need to unmute.
Okay.
I was trying to mute so that there won't be any noise in my area. So please, if you're not speaking, do please mute your phone, please. Yes. Referendum. That's where we are headed. But referendum is the path, because some people say we should be. I want my nation. I want my nation. Yes. You may want a nation, but we need to have everyone, right? And the way that we determine what everyone wants is through referendum, because all those options, confederation, nation, independent nation, there's those 4 options that is in the UN Charter. And everyone needs to go and vote their conscience. And then we tabulate those votes. And then we, from that, determine what that block wants. And then based on those results, then we have new federating terms, okay? So the NINAS path is clear. They issued the constitutional force majeure and rejected, which they're supposed to do, rejected the 1999 Constitution. But do you know that before they did that, they actually did the lawsuit? They filed the lawsuit against the Nigerian government on that back in 2007, between 2007 and 2009. That has still not been resolved because the government don't want to touch it, right? They have the freedom proclamations before that. I think that was in 2004. The solemn assemblies have been done by all the blocks between 2015 when the LNC did theirs, 2017 when the Yoruba bloc did theirs, and then 2018 when the Middle Belt did theirs. They have all done their solemn assemblies. Then there's the engagement with the US government to let them know that ISIS has not been defeated. It's moved to Nigeria. And they bring in Boko Haram, Al-Qaeda, ISWAP. They're all heading there. They did the engagement with the UN, and the UN sent the special rapporteur. That's the person that the UN will send to look at extrajudicial killings in the country and come back with an independent assessment of what actually happened. And do you know what they said? Independently. Would you believe? They said the constitutional arrangement in Nigeria was a powder keg for injustice. We didn't tell them to talk about the Constitution, right? But they called it out. And they said that the situation was grave. And they, in that report, even listed victims. And they said that, like I said, they said the situation was very serious. Another special rapporteur went in 2020. And he came back and said it was now grave. situation was now grave, and we've seen what has been happening since then, right? Then we had the US in 2019 with the engagement with the Lower Niger Congress and the Movement for No Nigeria, which is now, NINAS is the vehicle that they have put in place to take us to freedom, right? In 2019, the US government put Nigeria on the watch list, and in 2020, in December, they put them on the black list for egregious religious infringements, right? And then there's the ICC. So all of that has been done. So now we're at the point, we're getting to the end, right? Where we are now needing to activate the people so that they know that there's a referendum coming. They're getting ready for the referendum. They're demanding the referendum so we can go to referendum. And then how is that going to happen? People ask, well, is there going to be anarchy? What's going on? No, in that constitutional force majeure, NINAS has invited the existing government, just like happened in South Africa, to be the transitional government while the people go to referendum. Then we decide based on the results of the individual blocks of voting, decide what happens next. So there is a process. It's laid out. It was laid out for Buhari when MNN and Lower Niger Congress sent them the information, laid out exactly what needs to happen. So they can't say that they don't know, because it has been communicated. So next, we are going to be going on with the messaging to the UN. I see Bala is here. Bala, are you ready? I see that you are here but I don't see you on the screen yet. So if you can unmute and let me know that you are ready, because you're going to be talking about sending a peacekeeping force. Should we be sending a peacekeeping force? Is that a message that we should be delivering to the Nigerian government? Bala, where are you?
You can see me?
No, but it's okay that I can hear you. I'm gonna put it on speaker view and remove myself. There you are. Peacekeeping force. She's a peaceful woman of God. So welcome, Bala.
Good afternoon,
Yeah,
everybody.
I know. Yes, I can't help it. I can't help it. So welcome, and please talk to us about that.
Actually, they're supposed to be sending peacekeeping force to Nigeria at the time that it was needed. Right now, it's gone beyond peacekeeping because these people don't believe in peace. However, I know that in the beginning, sorry, 1 second. In the beginning, they had sent some human rights people to Nigeria to see what is going on with the activities of these governments to the people. And they brought their report back to the UN as to what has happened. At that point, when the Christian was being killed in Jos and everything, before now, I think that is when they should have sent somebody to sit down and find out what the problem is with the government and the people. That was not done, at least to my knowledge and to the public knowledge, maybe under the table. However, now for them to send peacekeeping to Nigeria, who do you talk to? You have different versions of.
We just gonna stick with, giving them that message and they can figure out how that works.
Okay.
Because we need to calm the situation in Nigeria because it's really hot right now.
If we send peacekeeping to Nigeria now, talk to the government and talk to the head of each area that are agitating for freedom. This will bring about how we can come to the table and try to see the problems that is facing each and every area, and then try to see how the government can kind of come in, sit down with them, understand what is happening, and meet them in the middle to resolve majority of the problems.
Right. They also send troops, though. They send troops.
Yeah, they do send trips, but before it gets to the trip, I don't they have to, but at the stage that we are now in Nigeria, they
They would need the troops.
Yes, but prior to that, they should have, sit down,
Now we need the
discuss
troops.
the issues, yes. But now, if they send the troops to sit down, I still think like if they come and talk to us, send the troops to protect those that are not carrying weapons.
Yes.
The people down below, because in the beginning, they collected all the weapons from the East, told them they are doing some kind of, what is that called, where they don't want them to have weapons, but they're going to dialogue with them. Everything is thought about fight. After they collected their weapons.
And in southern Kaduna.
They collected their machetes and everything in Kaduna, southern Kaduna and everything. After they've done all this, then they came out, start attacking them, and they have no way of defending themselves. So the fact that they cannot defend themselves and we have to come out and say, oh, this is happening to us, they can send the peacekeeping, they can send the military, they can send everything, to protect the area. As long as the conversation or the argument or the dialogue is going on as to see what the problems are. If the peacekeeping comes now, how will they now say, oh, okay, we have the Fulani or whoever in the middle of the forest and everything. How do you protect the people in those areas where they are occupying? That is where we need them.
Exactly.
To protect the villages.
Exactly.
To protect all the small towns, so that all these overnight attacks won't be going on and people run away from their own houses won't be happening if they have a neutral body protecting them militarily. The other thing is such that the people down south, southwest, south, everybody is angry. But if they see the military, all the things that they are bottling in their system won't be as bad as to force them to want to defend themselves. Because somebody is there who is neutral, that they can at least trust that is not part of the government. Again, we have no food coming in from the south, from the borders into the southern area. If we have the peacekeeping force there, food will come in and it will reduce the expensive ways of life going on right now, that they can purchase food comfortably with the small amount that they have on them. So as far as the situation is right now for the masses, yes, we do need the peacekeeping force from the UN to protect the lives of the people and to make people have the freedom of moving around without the fear of, because as of yesterday, I had to make a phone call to somebody to go and pick up somebody for me. And I'm like, what is wrong with me? They're going to go through Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. It's not even safe. Those are the things that are normal things, common small things that people can do comfortably without worrying about losing their lives. Mm-hmm. So if we have forces all around to protect them, we can move on and live our life peacefully until we get to the situation where everybody can do the separate ways. Thank you.
Absolutely, absolutely. Thank you so very much for that message. Yeah. I mean, like we are kind of beyond the place of where we're kind of beyond the place of where we are talking about it, because people are being killed and the numbers are just it's just and the way they're being killed is horrific, right? I saw a video because we're putting a documentary together for the NINAS Million Man Freedom March. Where they're using knives and cutting into those students. It's just cutting into them and taping this. Horrific things, okay? And that's why that message needs to be loud and clear, okay? It needs to be loud and clear because, we're dealing with a group of people that that are marching against unarmed women, children, older people, right? So if we have the UN and NATO, maybe ECOWAS, send in an elite team. They don't even need a large team to contain these people. The fact is, Nigeria, as what was his name said, what was that, the president of Nigeria that got, Abacha, he says, if terrorism continues for longer than a certain amount of time, there's collusion. And did not T.Y. Danjuma in 2018 tell us that there was collusion, right? He told us that there is collusion. And what about the ICC report? It was very clear. The ICC report, that's the International Criminal Court report, was very clear that the Nigerian armed forces had committed crimes against humanity that rose to the level of war crimes. They had reasonable basis to believe that. So then those that say that the words that T.Y. Danjuma spoke in 2018 was just an old man, well, what do you say to the ICC? What do you say to May Lafia? What do you say to El Rufai that says that Buhari knows where those terrorists are? And we see it. You've heard, Sheikh Gumi can go and find them. Bauchi governor finds them. Zamfara governor finds them. Take pictures with them with their, with their weaponry. Yet the Nigerian government, who are receiving intelligence from the US, cannot find them. And when they find them, they call them repentant. Did you know that back in February, El Rufai said that, the reason why we're not seeing this, Fulani herdsmen being in prison is because the justice system was slow. Well, if it were you and I, you know how quick that justice system would be. And then Buhari comes out and asks the police to release the names of all these so-called people that were being prosecuted. We're still waiting. You see them, the people arrest them, and then they disappear with their guns. Okay, so peacekeeping would be a huge help. Now, Janet is going to be talking about one more piece of the information here. And Janet, are you here? Are you ready to talk about that? Let me just make sure. Okay. Dr. Janet, are you here? I know I saw you. If you can unmute and speak, that would be great, because then you'll just pop up. Dr. Janet, I can't hear you. Dr. Janet, you need to unmute.
I'm sorry, I'm at a funeral ceremony somewhere.
Oh, no. Well, you look lovely and you are welcome.
Thank you. Thank you.
So, can you talk to us a little bit about asking for the world leaders to come together to condemn what's going on in Nigeria? Have we seen that? I guess I don't remember seeing that.
Have we seen something like that?
Yeah.
About the world leader coming together to condemn something? Yes, we have. You remember South Africa? The world leaders came together. Exactly. Although not all of them. You can remember that America was not on board. UK was not even on board until much later. And even after Mandela has been released, Mandela was still on the terrorist list here in America. And I think it was Obama that later removed his name from the terrorist list. So what I'm saying that so that we are not discouraged if this Western world don't immediately get on board with us. But we do need the nations of the world to come with us to condemn what is going on. Because if they don't do that, it's not even in their own best interest. Look at what is happening in Guinea and Mali now. If the world had come in to speak against the excesses that was going on, like the head of state that permanent himself there and didn't want to leave, If one somebody's ruling for 39 years, you can imagine the horrors that they will be giving to their own people. The one in Nigeria, I mean, this one has only ruled now for 6 years, going 8 years. And you can see, because he thought he's not coming back again, this is his second term, he's just doing whatever he wanted to do, or whatever he wants to do, doesn't care. We need the nations of the world to speak to what is going on, because what is going on right now in Nigeria is genocide. The like that we saw in Rwanda. And this was the way the nations of the world were complacent with what was going on in Rwanda. It is now that they are now pouring money into Rwanda after millions of people have been killed. So if they stay back and they don't say nothing, these people will continue their harassment. But then how do we get them to come in? That is the hurdle we need to cross. And I think one of it is what we are doing, this rally. Absolutely. Because without coming out to talk, they are not going to be using searchlights to be looking at how serious is the infliction of pain on your people. They are not going to do that. You are the one who have to come out and cry out loud. And crying out loud is this rally. And rally should continue. It should not even end like this. And we know that rally works. I can say that from this America. I can say that through the civil rights movement, boycotting, rallying, protesting, they all work, especially if that is the only weapon that you have, because we don't have guns, we don't have bombs, we don't even have any drones to go and be looking at the people who are in our forests to see what they are doing there. We don't have any means of knowing what is going on there. And yet we know it has to be for a purpose that they are putting all these people in the forest. It cannot just be because they cannot stay in their own house. That's why they are coming there. So we need to focus attention on all that. But then how does that happen? It also happens through lobbying. Like in America here, I don't know what goes on in England, but in America here, you need lobbyists. And with lobbyists, it's also a lot of money, because lobbying is a profession for them. And they do a good job. If you can win them on your side, you can get lobbyists to lobby for us, to get the lawmakers to look in our direction, to get the president to look in our direction, and possibly to get the armed forces to look in our direction. And what will happen is, if all things fail, the next thing that people look towards was the kind that happened in Cuba, where Fidel Castro had to fight the country from the mountains using guerrillas. And that's expensive, but it works. That's what it needs to result to. But I mean, that's when you don't have people coming to assist you. We need the assistance of these people. And it can start even from this, our rally. You have congressmen in England, you have councilmen, you have mayors, you have governors, you have House of Assembly people, you have Senate people. Those who are in our areas, we can organize to go and demonstrate even around their offices, and to say that we want to call your attention to what is going on in our land. Even for rallies that are not as big as the mega rally, we can do it even with 5, 10 people. You go there and the person will be forced to come out and ask what is going on, and you say, this is what it is, this is what it is. And because you can create a platform for the lawmaker or whoever you are going to meet to say something, and you broadcast it. The terrorist government will be listening. They are hearing it. They know that something is about to happen. And I think it was recently, somebody said because of this rally that we are broadcasting, Buhari was forced to do something over there in which he went after the bandits. And that's why Gumi was saying, oh, you're going to create Afghanistan if you go after the bandits. I think Buhari is saying that so that he can get something to say in United Nations, to say, see, I came after them, I did this, I did that, which he wasn't really doing much. But at least something acted as a catalyst for him to do that. If we had not been speaking, we have not been talking, we have not been rallying, we will just continue to suffer If we had been doing this, like imagine like 5 years ago, 10 years ago, when they asked our people to lay down their arms, they are not fighting with it, but they said they should lay down their arms. They collected arms from them. They said even hunters must not be seen carrying guns without license. We didn't know at that time they were going to bring in a lot of Fulanis and put AK-47 in their neck. Right now, we have nothing to fight with. But what we have to fight with, our voices, our time, our coming out to call attention of the world to it, should not be something that we should not do. And we should encourage other people to come along with us. They don't have to be Nigerians. They just have to be good-willed people who hate oppression, who hate genocide, who hate ethnic cleansing. They can be white, they can be our neighbor Caribbeans, they can be anybody, Chinese, Indian, as long as they believe in us, let them come.
Wrap up now.
What?
If you can wrap up now.
Yes, okay, so thank you very much. That's what I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Very powerful speech. And I like the fact that you put in there the fact that there are things that we all should be doing. We started by talking about that. So I'm glad that you wrapped that up in there. Also, I don't see Aramide. I'm going to say one thing real quick and then we're going to open it up. Is that intelligence. NINAS should be asking for intelligence from the world leaders because, you know, as I talked about earlier, if we have intelligence, our people will be better able to protect themselves. Since the government is not using it to protect us, then it needs to be given to NINAS and to the governors, like Autumn, who want to protect their people. So that should be definitely one of the demands that we're making of the world leaders. Okay. Okay. Right. Now we are going to go on to the question phase. So everybody, please, Janet, if you can mute your line, that'd be great. And we're gonna start taking questions. I see Samuel Jagade has his hand raised up, and then Stephen has his hand raised up. So Samuel, why don't you go ahead with your question? And again, keep it succinct so that we can get.
Yes, ma'am. I would rather make a comment or an observation on what the earlier speakers have said. And of course, it's a form of advice as well. Now, my observation and my own submission is this. These steps we are taking offers Nigeria a great opportunity for us to separate peacefully. Why am I saying this? It's a good thing we are talking about peace now. By the time the pendulum changes, the world does not want to see the other side. Because as we are talking, others have a right to defend themselves. And by the time they decide to defend themselves, then we know, the people who are unleashing terror on the others now, they will know that they are not the only ones who can carry weapons. Okay, others can do the same. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much for that submission. Stephen, do you still have a question? If you have a question, just raise your hand in Zoom, and I will see you. Go ahead, Stephen. Did you have a question?
I do have a comment. Is that okay?
Comment, question, all of that is awesome.
Okay, very well. I just want to add to what my other sisters have said about the peacekeeping force. We need to emphasize on a dire need for a peacekeeping force because we are at a very critical inflection point. The UN peacekeeping force at this point is an existential necessity.
Absolutely.
Okay? Absolutely. Now, we do have a whole lot of messaging points that buttress our case for a peacekeeping force. For example, now we know, not because we said so, but because other third parties have said so, be it the World Terrorism Index and the recent United Nations research that points to the current Fulani government, of which Buhari is a proxy, that it's a promoter and supporter of terrorism. Dr. Dupe noted earlier on that the government is complicit. That is by default. The government is complicit because it is complicit in the atrocities. And because it is complicit in the atrocities, it does not have any incentive to do anything to stem the atrocities. Now, so if we let our messaging emphasize all these data and metrics that are coming from independent parties as to how the current Fulani government has unwittingly made Nigeria a hotbed of global terrorism, has been very complacent and looked the other way, has continued to amass weapons of mass destruction. And I don't say that loosely at all. Weapons of mass destruction, waiting on the right opportunity to unleash it on millions of defenseless people. Then, of course, we have an existential problem on our hands. So our messaging should be very emphatic of the need for the UN peacekeeping force at this time. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. It is a necessity because when you see the numbers, and it's happening everywhere, right? And the people have been disarmed. And I saw the news where Buhari told the people in Jos not to retaliate. Every time I hear that, every time people are killed in droves, he tells them not to retaliate. What exactly does that mean? Has he gone there? Have they sent people to arrest those people? Have they arrested them all these years that they've been doing stuff and he's been saying, do not retaliate, right? What exactly is that? Very disingenuous, if you ask me, extremely disingenuous. So yes, the peacekeeping force is something that NINAS needs to be demanding, really strongly, right? And the intelligence of the activities of these people as well, right? Because it is necessary. There are millions of lives at stake. Okay, have another question from Paul Ibekeme. Go ahead and unmute and ask your question.
Hello, Jean, and everybody on the Zoom meeting. My name is Paul Ibekeme. Thank you. I've been following your activities for some time now, and I want to thank you all for all you're doing. We hope all the leaders for the promised land soon. Yeah, my question is about the efforts we are making to do counter the false narrative the government is sending across backroom. They categorize NINAS among opposition people causing trouble and people trying to divide Nigeria. And sometimes back home, because I have friends and relatives back home, the information we get that we pass to them, they don't seem to get what is going on, particularly in our south. We think that everything is under control, and then these killings are still going on. So I believe we still need to do more to send messages, because I do my own little part, like all the information I see on Zoom and on Facebook and on WhatsApp, then YouTube too. I do send to them, and sometimes I call a few of them and tell them this is what is going on. We should work hard and see that nobody go near INEC institution center to say they want to register for the next election. We are talking about now is how to take down the 1999 constitution and start afresh. So I think that area should be worked on. Secondly, the upcoming march at the UN headquarters, we should be aware that sometimes the Buhari government has a knack of trying to gather a small crowd, no matter how small, to be on the other side, doing their own protest in favor of government. So our own comments should drown theirs, to send the messages very well across so that the world will know that there's already war going on in Nigeria. What has been happening in the last 2-3 weeks in Plateau, Southern Kaduna is almost like a daily basis. Benue, the idea is even in the corn north, it will be noteworthy to let us know that even in the corn north, Zamfara, Kebbi, we have Christian communities, indigenous communities of Christians. We have in Zuru. Zuru is a Christian area in Kebbi State.
Yes.
And some of these places are where these terrorists that call themselves but they're terrorists. They go there and kill. And the government, I don't know what the government is really doing about it. I mean the caliphate government that we wish to call them. So I pray we succeed and let the world know and come to our help. Secondly, the European Union, the United States, here we are here in the US, and even the UN. We should find a way to reach them, even after the event of the UN, after the march. To find a way to reach them, to reach each government particularly, and let them know what is going on, so that they can equally be our voice. Because this man Buhari, I don't think the only thing he fears is the international community. If they tell him that what you are doing, you have to stop it, he will listen. But if we continue this way, I know we are going to succeed, but it will take some time. He needs to be pushed. The only thing he hears is force. So thank you. That's my comment. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much. Yes, that's one of the things that that's the time that we are in, activating people power. What that means is getting the knowledge to the people so they understand what is going on. So the underground, activities are hitting up right now. They are, they've been activated. Okay, because we need to be able to go into those villages and go into the towns, go into the markets, go everywhere to be able to explain to people exactly what's going on. Okay, because knowledge is power and power is freedom. And so all of us, that's what we need to be doing. We all have family back home, right? We need to be telling them what's actually going on. Right? We need to be telling them that what is actually going on so they understand it, right? And we need to be able to be encouraging them, right? To know that we are working on their behalf. Because Israel did not get where it is without those in the diaspora. So the diaspora have a huge responsibility to the people back home. Okay, I'm actually surprised that I haven't heard someone make a comment, because I purposely left one thing out of the demands. Shouldn't Mieti Allah, that has admitted to kidnapping, admitted to revenge killings, and the Fulani herdsmen be made a terrorist group? Shouldn't the world leaders do that? That should be a demand that we're making to the world leaders.
Yes, I agree.
The evidence is clear. And in fact, the Fulani militia on the global index is listed as a terrorist group. And yet we have here the Mieti Allah acting as if they are a country. I just saw that they have that lady that is now their ambassador. They're putting a country within our country. And they're bringing in Fulani from everywhere. Remember was it the Bauchi governor that said that they're bringing in Fulani because Fulani everywhere are our brothers, right? And we should use Nigerian money. We've got the video on that. This is not hearsay. So they're bringing them in, giving them NIN, giving them Nigerian passport. Because when you hear those videos, you can hear they're not Nigerians. You can see they're not Nigerians. And yet they're flooding in, armed to the teeth. So, like I said, I didn't put that on the list because I was waiting for sure somebody would bring it up and ask why it's not, that isn't on there. But that's definitely a strong message with the images that need to be communicated to the world community and to the world leaders. Okay, we've got Margaret Lola Alokan with a question, and we are almost to the end of the broadcast. So if you have a question now, it's a good time because we have another couple of minutes and we're going to be wrapping up. And, we really thank everyone for coming in and for listening and participating, and those really strong women delivering the strong message. We just wanted you guys to know that we have very strong women in the movement. And that once women are activated, so all you men, make sure you're talking to your wives, your sisters, your aunts, your grandmothers. Because once you activate women, then things start moving incredibly fast. And that's what needs to happen. So that's why today we had this group of very strong women. I see Aramide. Unfortunately, Aramide, I didn't see you earlier. I know you were.
I'm sorry, I was driving, so I was trying to get here in time. I'm sorry.
I gotcha. Okay, so Margaret, if you want to go ahead and unmute yourself and ask the question, that'd be awesome.
Yes, thank you. And I want to say kudos to you for all these efforts that we are making. My main concern is about the hunger that are striking our people back there in Nigeria. And I was just wondering, could there be also an emphasis laid on the opening of borders? Because now the animals, the cows, have eaten all the produce on the farms. And so there is scarcity of food, and the prices of food is skyrocketed.
Mm-hmm.
People hardly are able to eat one meal a day.
Mm-hmm.
So as we plan, we do all this rally, what can we do to help? Or can there be any way of demanding that the government open the borders for these people to have food come into the country? Thank you. That's my question.
And that is a great question, because the humanitarian toll, right? The humanitarian toll. Not only has this government taken Nigeria into being the poverty capital of the world. This is taken over from India with over 1 billion people. Buhari has turned Nigeria into the poverty capital of the world. That is saying a great deal. 100 million people. And so, yes, humanitarian aid, and I'm glad you brought that up. Humanitarian aid must be rushed to those people, because it's not getting any less. We've had monopolies created where those in the north are controlling critical supplies to everyone and driving the prices insanely up. This is not hearsay. Dangote owns everything in Nigeria. All the cement, right? Benue Cement is now owned by Dangote. Crazy. It's crazy. And so, yeah, humanitarian aid is one thing that will be part of the messaging to go out to the world leaders. Because when you wrap all of this together, you just see the injustice of it, right? The UN Special Rapporteur was not far from the truth. The injustice and just the inhumanity is just staggering. And the ICC, reasonable basis. So these are all the information that we have gathered. So when we are out there and the leaders are there and the UN is there, we're presenting the information. NINAS is going to be presenting this information clear. You can't miss the conclusion. We don't have to even give you the conclusion. You should be able to get there yourself. And I heard the prior guy that talked about the fact that the government will probably, pay some people. We've seen them do that in the UK when there've been, when there's been people standing against the government, right? And at this time, in fact, because it's NINAS and it is the combined alliance from the Middle Belt to the South, they dispatched Gambari, right? Saw that in the messages, in the news. It's been dispatched. So it's not, NINAS is not just about it providing the information. NINAS is people. NINAS is you. NINAS is me. NINAS is all of us. And so we need to stand and speak. We need to be the ambassadors to our people, to the world. And those who are on the planning for this understand what that means, because in addition to all the stuff that we're going to do, once we get past the stage, we go into the stage of doing the diplomacy, reaching out to all those countries, making friends, and seeing that they understand exactly. They can look at the evidence. We're not asking them to believe what we say, just look at the evidence, because we've collated that in evidence. So then let them tell us what's going on. We need friends.
Jane, may I just piggyback on what on your response with regards to the
absolutely. Go ahead.
The humanitarian.
I have a couple more minutes. Go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So they have used poverty as a weapon.
Absolutely.
Kind of terrorize the citizens and also to demoralize them. So if you're hungry, you really will not have the energy to fight for anything, not to ask for your for your right. Recently there was a statement that was made by former Jigawa governor Sule Lamido. He said, "Who will break Nigeria? Is it the Igbo vulcanizer or the Yoruba woman selling kerosene by the roadside or the Okada man in Delta or the ordinary person in Bayelsa or the ordinary person in Jigawa? They don't have the capacity to unite because they are burdened by poverty," unquote. So which means that they are making a conscious effort to impoverish the people so that they will not be able to fight back. And so I just wanted to add that. So that should be one of the issues.
Absolutely, because poverty has been weaponized. It has been weaponized, right? They have moved 80% of the revenue to the governing. Cost of governance, 80%. What is left for the people? Because once 80% is being paid to the senators, the governors, et cetera, 20% goes to infrastructure. Where's the people? It's a systemic, well thought out weaponization of poverty. And this would not be happening if the nations had their sovereignty back. And that's why it's very important that we come together, that we stick together, and that we fight like heck to protect our future. Okay, so I don't see any other hands raised here. So I'm going to encourage all of you. If you don't know enough about the NINAS story, there is a NINAS FFN, that's Frank Nigeria.org. You can go to freedomfromnigeria.com. You can follow us on Twitter. Okay. And if you have questions, you can always send information to freedomfromnigeria@gmail.com. And make sure that you are telling people about what is going on, right? You need to be breaking it down to them in simple language that they understand. Make them understand that going to the 2023 election is simply going to bring back that constitution that has the noose around their necks. A constitution that is letting the Fulani herdsmen rampage, kill, rape, displace with impunity, meaning no consequence. Okay? So it's extremely important. Each person is delivering that message. As Pastor Defarasan said, we should not go to 2023 election under this 1999 Constitution. The only way we should be going to an election is after a new referendum. So make sure they understand that, because they're already coming out with their $1,000 they pay you because you're hungry. So that hunger is not just about being able to kill us, which is one, but it's also during election time, they can buy you for 250 naira a year, every 4 years. So let's be vigilant. Let's gain knowledge so we can share the knowledge so that we can get our freedom. We thank you all for coming. And we are here every Saturday breaking down the information. And next Saturday, we will be talking about what's going on in Times Square, which is where the action is going to be in New York. We will be talking to people and we will be telling them about what's going on. And we'll be asking them to come alongside us and support NINAS and the people, because NINAS is the people, so that we can gain our freedom. So thank you all very much for being here. And we will be ending in a few minutes here. Sorry, Abiodun, we are not going to be able to take your question because we are ending our broadcast now. So thank you everyone again, and we look forward to seeing you again. And everyone have a great weekend.
You too. Thank you.
You too.
You too.